Hello, everyone. We are live. I'm Megan. I'm here with RJ, and we are excited because today we're going to be talking about a really fun show from 1990. We are talking about September 21st, 1990, at the Somerville Theater, which was a Lawn Boy release party.
Pretty amazing. Um,
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. How are you, Megan?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, RJ?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm just trying to get through. Just trying to get through. That's what I'm up to.
Yeah, that's kind of like the theme these days. I was up too late last night, though, looking at everyone's pictures of tour in the 90s on Twitter
Yeah,
after the Undermine post.
it was
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Oh my God, it was so awesome. I just love seeing everyone's like patchwork and grainy photos. And it was just awesome. Undermine is so great. I just listened to the first episode today. And it's just like, it's awesome and super relevant to what we're talking about today.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, the second episode came out today with Amy Skelton, and there'll be another episode on Friday with a musician who you might all know, a female musician from the jam world who's talking about a special show from 1992. And we're gonna have 3 episodes a week between now and December, and it's quite a lot, but it's fun. Those pictures, and if anyone wants to go to Undermine Twitter, you should check it out, because Megan had dreads, which is an awesome thing. Actually, was that
Was
in
it?
a
I don't know.
was that in a private thread or that one?
I may have sent you a close up in a private, but yes, I had dreadlocks. I got started them that summer. I was on Grateful Dead tour in 1995. That summer, which was a trip in itself. And yeah, I had really really long hair, and just like on the lot, I had met someone from Cincinnati and like went back and stayed with him for a little bit, and his roommate started dreading my hair. So it was like a rat's nest for a while, and then it became these like kind of like shortish, spunky dreads. And it was a thing. I was
Definitely a
into
thing.
it. I felt like people really knew who I was with those dreads. Like I went to school at University of Arizona, and I like got out there, and it was very clear who was not going to be my friend and who was going to be my friend.
Yeah,
So the dreadlocks were a real defining factor when I was
yeah.
18.
Makes sense. I had some friends with dreads in college. It's just, yeah, it's a defining characteristic. Um, well, that anyway, the Undermine thing is fun, and we are going to be doing a bunch of episodes. And this Sunday we're going to be in Burlington doing a really big party at Nectar's to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Water Wheel Foundation. And it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're interested, if you're listening to this or watching, and you're in Vermont or in the Northeast, if you go to osirispod.com/WW25, you can check out more information about that. But we're going to have a bunch of music from a bunch of guests and some interviews, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited. I'm going all the way up to Burlington. So I hope it's fun. Do you think it'll be good?
It's going to be amazing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be so fun. Just being at Nectar's is like such a special place. It's like, it's our Mecca, right? It's like our home
Yeah.
place. It's like, yeah, I love going up to Burlington too. I used to go up there like once a year with my husband just for like a winter weekend. It's just such a beautiful, awesome, fun city. So it's going to be a great
Yeah.
time.
It's going to be awesome. Um, so actually, I was wrong about that URL because for some reason that doesn't work, even though I did set it up to work. Just go to live@nectars.com for information about that show. And Linda, woohoo! Can't wait. Also, can't wait to see
Awesome.
you, Linda. Thanks for supporting us. And let's get an IPA at FOAM. Sounds great.
Oh, now I'm really jealous. That
Uh,
sounds awesome.
if anyone else wants to get a beer, just let me know. There's going to be a brand new beer unveiled at Nectar's. I can say that. So that's happening
So
also.
exciting.
Maybe I'm
That's
not supposed to say
awesome.
that, but I'm going to say it.
Our
So
listeners deserve it. It's fine.
they deserve it.
That's awesome. We should also recommend everybody subscribe to Osiris Media on Apple HF Pod Premium. And you're going to get lots of good premium content, especially with Undermine coming out. You're going to get some special interviews and premium content that you would not get if you're not a subscriber. So check it out, $4.99 a month, and it really helps support what we do here.
Indeed. What so we're talking today about this Lawn Boy release party. which was the same day as the Lawn Boy album release. Even though they didn't really play very many Lawn Boy songs, but that's sort of beside the point of the party, right?
I
Um,
think so.
it's an interesting show, and I'm glad we're going back to it.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a great show and just quintessential 1990 Fish. And 1990 was such an important year for Fish, and I'm excited to get into that. Before we do, though, we should tell you that we are sponsored by Section 119. They are the premier apparel brand where many fans shop to represent their favorite band in everyday life. They've got sophisticated designs and epic quality. My dog Reba loves them. Section 119 offers donut inspired button down shirts, board shorts, dry fit polos, and hoodies, among many other awesome clothing types. I've been wearing a lot of the women's workout clothes. They're so nicely made. The quality is incredible and they're great to work out in and they look super cute. And people stop me all the time when I'm running, which is super fun. And I always want an excuse to stop running. So if you see me out there in my Section 119 running clothes, stop me because I don't want to keep running. So check them out. You can use code SUMMER22, probably not for very much longer, and you're going to get a 20% discount on your next purchase. And you're going to love it. So check it out. It is code SUMMER22 at section119.com.
I'm wearing a Section 119 shirt right now.
Oh, yeah, you
I like
are.
it.
And it looks so
It's
good. See?
it's a little bit of there's a little bit of spandex in addition to the cotton, so it's like it's
Mm,
comfortable, but it's got a little bit of stretch to it. It's just they make really good stuff. So I
it's very high quality.
can't recommend it enough. Um, but this is fun, Megan. I think we're on track to kind of like really try to figure out what was happening in 1990. I didn't really know. I hadn't thought about 1990 until we did episode 1 of Undermine, as you mentioned. But it's pretty crazy what they were doing that year.
Yeah, I mean, they played 148 shows that year, which, if you think about it, is like 5 months worth of shows. That's insane. That's the most they've ever played before or after, which is just crazy. They're also traveling more than ever before. They're going deeper into the South, out to the Midwest, Colorado. This whole year, they're sharing stages with bands like Panic and Blues Traveler, Aquarium Rescue Unit. It's crazy. They're just doing so much and obviously growing. It's like that time period where they're like going to a city once, playing, a small venue, and then the next time they come back, 6 months later, they're playing, a venue 2, 3, 4 times the size. So they're just obviously building by word of mouth too, which is so great. They're starting also to get some attention in the press. Some of it's kind of like dismissive, but they're getting talked about. And some people are actually writing about them thoughtfully, which is pretty cool. And musically, they've got a lot going on too.
There's so much happening, and we did talk to John Paluska about this and about like 1990 was the first time that they had played at the Capitol Theater. The first time they went to play at Tipitina's in New Orleans. I mean, 148 shows is quite a lot, but this is sort of at the end of, I mean, toward the end of the year. Although they do have a fall tour after this, and they go to Colorado. But this, somehow during this all of this touring, they were able to record an album called Lawn Boy, which is pretty good.
Yeah, classic,
How do
classic
you feel
fish.
about Lawn Boy?
Yeah, I like it. It's classic. It's not like one of the first ones I listen to a lot. But it's concert staples, right? It's got like
Yeah,
Tom's got a few songs on there. It's just one of those. I think it's a great album. It was released on Absolute Go Go label, which went bankrupt the next year. So I think that affected their sales a lot. But it's a good album, and I think that what's cool about what's going on in 1990 is that they're starting to really concentrate so much on growing their fan base that they're starting to do things like secret language, even though they're not introducing it yet, but they're including these kind of like secret language things into their music. They're also doing like bluegrass and barbershop songs, which is like a big deal. They're not going like type 2 in a lot of their jams, but they're definitely, playing the same songs a lot so that they're getting really, really, really tight.
yeah, and I will say, because someone's gonna say it in the chat, or someone's gonna email us, and if Jonathan's watching, then he's probably thinking this and wondering why we haven't said this already. But it was released. This was re-released by Elektra in 1992 as part of their kickoff with Elektra. They re-released Junta and Lawn Boy, and then Picture of Nectar was the first one that came out on Elektra. So it got like a it got a reboot in '92. But it's kind of an interesting thing to think about if you're like, if you're this if you're this band and you're like, cool, we're gonna put out our second album, and then the
Hmm.
record company, and then the company goes out of business. I mean, it just like that doesn't seem like a really good. Um, it doesn't seem like a good trajectory, but it all worked out for Fish. Um,
Yeah, and I think it probably spoiled them a little bit, like spoiled them on wanting to work with big record labels. It's kind of frustrating.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot that went into this. I think we did a series on HF Pod like 3 years ago called Backtracking, where we went through.
Oh, I
We
love
got
that. Hmm.
we got up to I think we got up to Billy Breathes maybe, but we did an episode about Lawn Boy that I think you can still find if
Hmm.
you want our deep dive into Lawn Boy. But this was recorded in Vermont, right? The album.
Yeah. Hmm. Yep. It was recording at Dan Archer's studio, which is right outside Burlington, Vermont.
Okay, they they come to the Somerville Theater, right? This is Somerville Theater is a capacity 900 theater. They've had 7 total shows there. And this was the second one. So the night before this was the first one. They played there 7 times over a couple of years. And this is a like if you look at the Fishnet ratings for September 21st, 1990, the Lawn Boy release party does not get, it's not like it's not a hugely popular or like sought after show, I don't think. But it was fun to go back to.
Yeah, it's a really good listen. I think, people nowadays are really spoiled with the kind of fish we have access to. So I think that these older shows just don't get, the kind of ratings that sometimes, people might, there's no big jams. They're not doing anything, super out of the box in a lot of these shows. Maybe some in the early shows, but not many. There's also only one official release from 1990. So, you have to search for these things a little bit harder.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the Halloween '90 from Colorado. Is the release, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's it. Hmm.
yeah. We need some more. I mean, the soundboards are all good, so it's not like we don't have it's not like we don't have we don't have good sound quality, but it's a good year. There's so many debuts in 1990. I mean, there were so many debuts every year. But one of the things that I guess we can talk about the show in detail. But one of the things that it kind of stood out to me is how there aren't that many Lawn Boy songs played here. It's like there's a lot of Picture of Nectar songs, and I think that's just how it goes with Fish. They played one Lawn Boy song and 4 Picture of Nectar songs, which was the next album that hadn't been recorded yet. So, they were because they were a live band, right? They were just always putting out and playing material that had already that they were ahead of the release schedule.
Yeah, their concerts are always like in the future based on what they're putting out there, like on the albums. And I think it's pretty amazing because these shows have so many like really complicated composed songs and they're learning them and playing them pretty quickly. I mean, there are 6 songs that they played this night that were debuted in 1990. And the average year of debut is 1987. So, they're presenting a lot of new material as they're playing. And there are not that many covers in the show. So it's just pretty incredible the amount of rehearsing they must have been doing to be playing, I think, pretty incredible versions of really complicated songs. They've only been together for 7 years. It's not like they've been together for a really long time at this point.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think the first set, so they open with Reba, which is dedicated to my friend Dave. Not my friend Dave, that's what Trey said.
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
oh, Dave? That's
yeah, no,
cool.
Dave's great. And then Paul and Silas, the second song, which is a cover. Man, there's just some like crazy shredding from Trey in there. I think this is like when they first start getting into some of the bluegrass stuff, and it's pretty impressive. I wouldn't have like thought about this Paul and Silas from 1990 as being something worth listening to, but that was a pretty cool start, and the Reba was good as well.
Yeah, this Reba's amazing. I think that the crowd also, when you listen back to the show, just stood out to me so much. They are rabid. I mean, they're going nuts. They definitely like have huge reactions to certain songs. Reba was one of them. And it's just interesting how like engaged they sound. And I mean, Fish fans have, if you go to a show now, they're still crazy, but it's easy to be like crazy when there's 30,000 people and you've been doing it for 25 years. It's like, this is pretty cool. There's like however many people in the Somerville Theater and everybody's just like freaking out. I think it's pretty awesome to see like how focused and committed and energized their fan base was even at this point in their career. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and the Reba, I mean the Reba like got a big reaction as you noted. And that song had been around for about a year. This is, the one song from Lawn Boy that was played, and that in the past year between like I guess summer of '89 and this show in fall of '90 had been played 55 times in a year, which
Wow.
is more than once a week.
Yeah,
So
it's a
they're like,
lot.
and it's good. It's like they're getting into what Reba would become. So I thought that was pretty cool. What other
Yeah.
what other highlights do you have from set one?
Yeah, I just wanted to say before we move on about the Reba that I feel like the solo that Trey does is like, it's not really refined, but it's still effective, and you can hear them getting better at playing it as they go through 90, which I think is really, really cool. Um, I mean, the Ass Festival is pretty interesting because it's this like kernel that they built actually Gula Papyrus like around, which is not always, the case. It's cool. Sometimes they have like different kernels of songs and then they put them together to make a song. But this is like they actually took that and built Gula Papyrus around it. They didn't play it a lot, and it only appeared twice alone after Gula debuted in February of 91. So it's pretty cool to think about this is like the beginning of that song, which is awesome. People went nuts for Dinner and a Movie, like nuts. And also went nuts during Foam. It was just like the crowd was bananas. I can't overstate it. They're really, really into it. I think the rest of the set's cool. I mean, Eliza is just so gorgeous to hear. When are they going to bring that back? Like, I really want them to be playing Eliza.
Yeah, Eliza is so well about the crowd. It's interesting because the night before this was the first night, and it's like a much higher rated show. There's some really good musical moments. It seemed like they were a little bit sort of tighter on the first night, which kind of makes sense if this was like an event,
Yeah.
that was the party. And I wonder how much overlap there was in the crowd. I'm sure there was a lot because Massachusetts, it's
Hmm.
not that far for people to come down. But Eliza it's one of those like I think it's one of those white whale songs, right? It's only been played 22 times. There's nothing really. I mean, it's not like hearing it at a show it's not like it would turn into a big jam or something, but it's just like a nice, beautiful little refrain that is from Picture of Nectar. But they they should bring it back. Maybe this can be like the MSG round. Although, did we say the other day that they're bringing back a song already for you? I
Yeah,
forget.
probably. I don't remember what it was either, but someone hopefully will remind it. Remind me. I can't remember that far back, RJ. That was Monday. Like so much
It
has
was a
happened
long
since
time
then.
ago. It was a long time ago.
um,
Um,
yeah,
but do
I
you
know.
do you? I mean, would you be like? How would you feel if they played Eliza? Do you think that would be like amazing? Because do you like padding your stats with that kind of stuff, or would it be like,
Yeah,
okay, this
sure.
is a cool 2 minute thing?
Honestly, like knowing me, like I wouldn't even know what it was in the moment because I'm so just like lost in the moment, and I'm not good at like calling songs in the moment. I have to like sit and think about what it is, but someone near me would know what it was and would be like, "This is Eliza," and then I'd just be psyched because I love when things come back. I think that's so cool. I'd also like to hear them bring back Lagrange too. I wanted to hear that this
Yeah,
summer. I thought they might because I kept hearing it on the radio, the ZZ Top version, but you know, oh well.
it's been a while. It's been a while. I guess they played it once in 2012, but other than that, it hasn't been around since the early days, since we were all younger. Um,
And I always think of you, Jonathan, because I remember you telling me that this is one of your daughter's middle name. It's
not
so
not
cool.
Lagrange.
No, not Lagrange, Eliza.
Eliza.
That would
Okay.
be dope if you're.
It would be really awesome. I
That would
would
be
feel like I
really
would know
cool.
that. I probably
Yeah,
already knew that anyway.
you would
But
probably know that. Yeah.
um,
I
what
also want to
was
talk
your?
about what Russ was saying
Oh yeah, go ahead.
during, or what Mark was saying about the oohing and the eyeing during Dinner and a
Mm.
Movie in the chorus breakdown. That was so cool, and I forgot about that until you just said that, Mark. And yeah, I feel they haven't played Dinner and a Movie in forever, and it's so weird that they didn't play it when we came back last summer. after they've been doing dinner and a movie. I think everybody thought they were going to do that.
Wasn't it like a definite they were going to open with it at
100%.
some
Yeah.
point? I
Yeah.
feel like that was like definitely part of the predictions.
It would have been really good. Oh, wow.
What was your highlight of this set? What would you go back to?
I'd say my highlight is I'd say probably the Reba. Yeah, I'd say probably the Reba. I also really liked um, the Mike's Hydrogen is fun too. Always. Yeah, I
Yeah, it
think
was
that's it.
yeah. That was like a pretty well kind of
Mhm.
fully formed Mike's Groove. Which I don't know if I knew that it was like kind of fully formed in that way by 1990. But that's a good
No, I
reminder,
wouldn't have said
you know.
that either. If someone said that to me, I would have been so surprised about it. Yeah. Mike's is old, right? It's been around a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and I guess the first time they did the whole thing was 88, but for some reason these songs all to me like until 92 or something are all like kind of individual parts, like the different parts
Mhm.
of Fluffhead and, you know. Um but but I guess Mike's Hydrogen, Jonathan would know, but I think the Mike's Hydrogen Weekapog I guess was pretty fully formed at this point. Um
Yeah.
it's a it's a good set. I wonder what it was like to be there because there is like also I guess the release party thing made me think that there would be more about the album, you know. There it was really just like
That would make sense. Yeah.
it was just a concert, which is great. Um
Did they play more of it the night before? I don't remember looking at the set list.
I think there were more the night before, but I don't know. I guess there were 6 songs from Lawn Boy the night before, so that must have been the big night. But also
Maybe
it's like
that.
so typical that they would just do all the songs from the album, not the night of the release party. Just keep everyone on their toes, you know.
Exactly.
Um,
So good. What's your highlight from the set?
I think the I really liked the Esther. I thought that
Mm.
I just like these songs that are where there's like a lot of patience early on because you I don't know. I associate these early years with like so much speed and them like really kind of like
Mhm.
going full speed on these songs and hearing Esther and hearing it like breathe a little bit and like a little more, you know, there's just like a little more space in it, which I really like. So I think I like that a lot. The Reba was really good too, but I think like you said, it's not like, you know, a Reba that I would go back to a bunch of times.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it is pretty incredible how quiet and patient they can get even when they're playing so fast at this point. I love that about 1990.
Yeah. So we're celebrating Lawn Boy, but before we celebrate set two, we have to
Yeah,
tell you about Sunset Lake. How do you like that segue? It's pretty smooth. You
that
gotta
was
admit.
gorgeous, RJ. That was gorgeous.
So Sunset Lake CBD's line of smokable hemp products are for the old deadhead or the young fish fan searching for a mellow body high. Not too young, but just young fish fan. Not like kids, but you know, we're talking about young adults here. Just to clarify. Smoky CBD has all the benefits of high THC cannabis without some side effects that you might experience. So they have 9 different strains from this year's harvest. There's something for everyone. All the flowers grown, cured, and trimmed by Sunset Lake CBD farmers. And they have a farm to table approach, which gets you great pricing on premium CBD flower by shipping directly from their farm to your door. I've said this before, but I like the CBD tincture. I'll probably take some up to Vermont this weekend because I'm going up for the show that we're doing at Nectar's and you know, kind of old, so like I don't sleep that well if I'm not in my own bed. So might need some CBD. So check out their tincture, check out their flower, check out everything they have. SunsetLakeCBD.com. Use the code HFPod for 20% off all products. Sunset Lake CBD, farmer owned, Vermont grown. Megan, where do we go in set two?
We are going on a ride. This is a pretty cool set. I actually really like this set. The set starts off with Golgi into Magilla. Is that how you pronounce it? I never know how people pronounce it.
Magilla.
Magilla. This is a great
That's how
version
I
of
pronounce
Magilla.
it. Yeah.
It's a great version. And the stash cracks me up because like Trey is so into his Zappa like vocals in Stash, especially. He's just like feeling it. He's really giving it. is really fun. But one of the highlights, I think, is the Forbins to Mockingbird. The peak is like truly, truly fantastic. The crowd is like right there the whole time. And it's just a really stunning version, actually. It's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of I guess in these early days, there's those peaks that you hear in Forbin's in Forbin's Mockingbird. In I mean, even like some of the stuff we heard in set one here, the Reba, but also like Mike's or Weekapog. They're really like kind of hitting those different levels,
Mhm.
which is cool to hear. I think the Megillah needs to come back. I mean, they last played in
Yes.
2003. I feel like every old show we talk about is like, we have to bring something
Ask
back.
for it.
But I think Megillah is a good one to bring back. It's not that hard to play. Well, actually, I don't know. I'm not a musician, but I feel like it's not as complicated as some songs that they play.
No, and it's
Um,
short.
it's short. I think they should bring it back. Actually, that just reminded me that in Alive Again, when we talked to Trey about Megillah, I think that was the one where they had like a 6 hour um, kind of rehearsal of that song, trying to get the right take with the horns. And he wrote the whole thing out and charted it out and said that, he was really particular that night. So maybe it's just a tab thing at
That
this
would be
point.
so cool. Yeah, that would be awesome.
But what do you think about the 1990s stash? You said this is only the fourth time the song has ever been played, which is
Is
crazy.
that
But
true?
yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
it is crazy.
I mean, it's
Um,
super energetic, right? Like, it's
yeah,
just it feels like they're excited about the song.
yeah. Do you think that I guess the kind of big tension release stuff that we hear in a couple of years later isn't quite developed yet, but you can hear where it's going.
Yeah, I think that in 1990, to me, it sounds like they're really good at building up, but they're not as good as, like, releasing and then going back. It's, like, more of just, like, a climb and then a peak, and then another climb and a peak. It's less of, like, that, the more nuanced, like, tension and release that they get so, so good at. So, I think in a song like Stash, which is, like, built for that, you can hear that, them still working on that.
Yeah, yeah. I just to go back to Megillah, they did play Tab played it twice in 2022, so it's definitely something that can
Oh, they
happen
did?
out
Why didn't I
there.
know that?
I know, out in the world. Actually, I think I saw it at the Met September. So I think it was part of it was part of the encore. So
Mm, maybe they'll play it again this fall.
I think they should play it again. Maybe they'll play it with someone from Goose.
Oh, yeah. That'd be
You
awesome. I
know,
can't wait to see one of those shows. Yeah.
I heard that's happening. That's
Yeah.
happening,
Big
right?
rumor.
Is
Mhm.
that still happening?
I think so. There's even a commercial about it.
There was a commercial. It's true. So you talked about the Colonel Forbin Mockingbird. That's a pretty big part of the set. The You Enjoy Myself though is
Mm.
pretty great.
Yeah, this is my highlight of the set. It's fantastic. It's a really, really, really good version. Like, hands down, like, not even for 1990. Like, it's a really great version. Paige is amazing. His piano sounds so great. The energy toward the peak is incredible. There's just like they build up and then there's like this awesome rock and roll riff. Trey's like runs or his solo is like super classic rock, which is like very much of the time. And it's really fun. Mike sounds amazing. It's a really, really good version. The vocal jam, meh, but the rest of it's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess this was probably like the main. I mean, this was like the jam vehicle at the time, especially
Hmm.
for like some kind of like uh, more open-ended improv, right? They could just kind of like they could rage on You Enjoy Myself for a while.
Yeah. Or like the intro to Bowie. Those were like the two spots that they like veered off a little bit, it seems like. But
Yeah.
yeah, this was their big, it's the Fish theme song, and it was even back then.
Yeah, I mean, I like that version and the Highway to Hell closer. Before we talk about the encore, because I want to talk about the encore. So after these shows, to they go down to Massachusetts and they play a bunch of shows in the East Coast, and then in November they go back to Colorado. And I mean, this is, I think on that tour, they also played in Texas, they played in New Orleans, they played in Alabama, and then they played a bunch of shows in Colorado and came back through the Midwest. So they're definitely like making the rounds here. And we heard, as I mentioned, a little bit from John Paluska about this, but I don't know. What's your like? How would you describe where the band was at this point? Just because it seems like a little bit of a period of transition. Like they're going from a regional band to a national band. They come back to Somerville Theater 2 months later, so they're playing. They're kind of like hitting the same venues a couple months apart. I don't know. It's sort of like it seems like a confusing year, but maybe that's just because there are so many shows.
I think it's just hardworking. I think they're like really like working their asses off. They're like rehearsing all the time. They're doing shows half the year practically. I listening to that John Paluska interview, like I won't share everything, but just hearing about the way that they're traveling, it's not in style. They're definitely still a little scrappy and long, long hours on a bus. Like you know, they're pushing right now and they're growing in a major way. And it's
Yeah,
it's a testament to how much they were committed to it and to that growth and to continuing to write music and continuing to learn really challenging music and play it and grow the fan base. And it's pretty incredible. It's an exciting time. But I don't think I realized like how big of a year this was for them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good way to put it. We Alex May just commented do a dive on 11.2 and 11.3. The
Oh
the
yeah.
interview with the interview with John Paluska is about 11.2, although we spend more time talking with him about where the band was and his involvement than we do on that show. But that show is really good. The next night, 11.3, also really good show. The 11.3 show has a double encore, which I think is a good indicator of a pretty awesome show. Um, and our listener or viewer, I think this is Stacy, said Tab Tour starts Friday. So
Can't wait.
we're on deck for more music. I can't believe how little Trey like rests.
Rests? No, he does
You
not
know,
rest. Does not
he's
rest at
gotta
all.
he's gotta take some time and just relax with his new dog and his cats. Just like I feel like he
He's a
needs to
machine.
just. I know, I know.
I
Um,
think he's not like the rest of us. He
yeah,
doesn't
he's
need to
not.
sleep. Mm-mm.
He's not. I need to sleep.
It's
I
what
like
being
sleeping.
sober is like, apparently. You can just
Yeah,
do so much, maybe.
that's got to be part of it for sure. Um, all right, so we have to talk about this encore though because
Yeah.
Whipping Post needs to come back. I don't know. Maybe viewers, listeners, let us know what you think. But and Megan, I don't know what you think, but I think Whipping Post has to come back. I mean, it was such a great early era staple for them. Just so much jamming, that was done early on, and they brought it back in '99 at Deer Creek. But besides that, it hasn't been played since the early '90s. So what do you think? Is it ever going to come back? Do you want it to come back? How do you feel about Whipping Post?
Oh, I think it'd be amazing. I doubt it, though. I don't know. It just seems like one of those songs that's like buried. But I mean, never
Yeah.
say never. But I think that it was clearly such a vehicle for them back then. I mean, Trey sounds unbelievable. It's just pure shredding, pure hose. Like it's such an awesome, awesome song. And the crowd just whips the crowd into a frenzy and the crowd's like screaming. And then it's a very long version. It's awesome. It's like 10 minutes, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really great. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just like just a sweet blues jam, but just a sweet blues jam is pretty awesome. You know.
Yeah. And Jonathan wants them to bring it back, but only if Fish sings it. So that would be cool.
I think that last time was it the last time? Definitely in '93, Fish sang it. I guess he, I guess did he sing it? I guess he sang it more than that. But
I don't know offhand.
I think in the '99 version of Deer Creek was the first time Trey had been on vocals since 1990. So I guess in between
Wow.
90 and 99, it was Fishman. Leave it to Jonathan to come up with these amazing things. Jonathan, you should just maybe join us next time, and you can can add all your wisdom to our conversation. Um, oh, and A Highway to Hell after the You Enjoy Myself before the Whipping Post encore. Another great, really like fiery cover.
And like really good placement, I feel like,
Yeah,
after Yem, and just to like rock it out to Highway to Hell and then end on Whipping Post. It's pretty strong.
yeah. I think it's a good finish. But there's no like, our album's on sale now. Go buy it. It's
No.
just like play a show and then, just go nuts and then, and then that's it. And then go
They've
home.
never been into self-promotion. I mean, I feel like if anything, they were like self-sabotaged by the kinds of like photos they would take for the press back then. But I don't know. I mean, do you think that Trey was like working on set lists the way that he did later on in the 90s at this point? Like spending lots of time? I haven't
Yeah,
heard a lot about that.
I think so. I think this was probably because they added, like you mentioned, I mean, they added so many songs this year. I think they were starting to
Mhm.
try to figure out how to fit everything in. I mean, this had this show had I think you mentioned the 6 songs that were debuted in 1990. So, out of a show of what, 20 songs. I mean, that's a lot
Yeah.
to mix in. I think it's interesting that there's like Paul and Silas and Lagrange and Whipping Post, Highway to Hell. Like there's a lot of covers still in here. So there's
Mhm.
clearly they don't have enough in the repertoire yet to just like have one cover per show. Like it's still, there's a lot of covers circulating. Um, and I think that's good. Because I like these covers, but I guess by this point they were probably a little bit like, we can't just go out and play ACDC every night.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even think they still wanna do that. I mean, they still play a decent amount of covers, even though they have, like, 800 songs or
Yeah.
something, not really quite that many, but, I think
Yeah.
that they're inspired to play a lot of these songs, but yeah, they do have a fair amount of covers still, and I think they need covers because their stuff is weird, and I think that, like,
Hmm.
people were into it, but, like, if you're playing at, like, in a city where maybe half the people in the venue haven't seen you before, you probably don't just wanna play Esther and, like, Yem all night, like, that might just, like, weird people out. I don't know, and
Yeah.
maybe not, but I don't know, I think it's their stuff's weird.
I
It's an
think
acquired
it's
taste.
it's a good point though, and that's sort of from what I understand at least, that's like the band kind of formula you have to figure out if you're playing a bunch of
Mhm.
shows, right? You're doing either you have to figure out how to bring like a couple you have to bring a couple covers to the table, but not too many, but like it seems like a hard balance because you basically if people start to tune out a little bit, you want to bring them back with like a song that they know. I don't know.
Exactly.
I think it's a I think it's a hard thing to do. But Alex May says prep school hippie. I don't know. I mean, you know, 5 times ever played. Last time was, well, long time ago. I'm not
Yeah,
sure. I'm not sure, Alex. I'm not sure about that.
you never
Um,
know.
and Mark said Paluska said he would ask for a copy of the last couple set lists each night so he could make the show at that particular venue special. So yeah, John was involved with that as well back then. Um, you can hear all about that on our podcast Undermine, which is another plug for us. Megan, what's your kind of takeaway from listening back to this?
It's funny, every time I listen to these older shows, I really like them. Like, they have really good re-listening quality. Like, I just love thinking about them and where they were at this point and how far they had to go still, and I just think they sound incredible, even though they're a fairly new band, and they're kind of like still 5 years away from kind of like the pinnacle of where they wanna be, but if you think about what happened in between those 5 years, like, here they are playing at this small theater in Somerville, Massachusetts, and then 5 years later, they're playing at Madison Square Garden. I think it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, 4 years from now, they're playing Madison Square Garden. It's wild.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a good
4. It's
good
crazy.
good reminder for people who are, you know, trying to play music and just getting started because that's it's not that long, considering the
No.
the life of a band, which it is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, their trajectory. So I think it's great to listen back to these, and they're fun. They're cool to listen to, and they go by quick, and you can hear how talented all of them are even back then.
Yeah. I think the one thing I feel like 91 maybe is like the time when they really start to nail the compose. That's when like everything kind of comes together, like the fast playing and the compositions all being kind of complete and hitting these bigger venues. That's when it like starts to feels like you they put some like gas on the fire in 91, and that's when it starts like really taking off into 92. It's
Yeah.
so this is just like a little bit before that.
Yeah, and then 92 you have just some incredible stuff that happens. So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool what happens in these 2 years.
It's it's pretty fun to go back to, and this Lawn Boy record, which I don't have the vinyl, but I know Jonathan does. I'm sure Matt does. All the people who are better at records than I am. But someday I'm gonna get it. Someday. Um, we did a live show in Asheville, North Carolina, in May, and Tom and I got there, and we were waiting for the show to start, and someone who worked at the Asheville Music Hall brought in. He knew that we were coming and brought in a crate and had every Fish vinyl in it, and
Wow.
had Tom sign them all. I was like, how did you how did you have all these? And he had all of them, and Tom signed all of them. So I can't
That's
remember his
very
name, but
cool.
now he has all the Fish vinyl signed by Tom. So I kind of wanted to like ask him if he could wanted to give me a couple of them, but I
That
decided
might have
not to.
seemed rude. Yeah, I think that was the
It
right
might have
move.
been. It's probably not. It's probably not
I
that
don't
cool to take them.
No, I don't think you would have been into that.
Yeah, probably not a good idea. Um, what anything else we need to cut? This was fun. Look, this episode, like this show, just kind of flies by, but it's a great time.
Yeah, exactly. Check it out if you haven't. It's really fun to listen to these old ones.
It's
And
a calling to collect
it's a
records.
yeah. Well, I think Jonathan is the master at it. I mean, even just a peek inside his office, you can tell that he does not fuck around. He collects some serious records.
There's a lot. There's a lot of them. And I before we wrap up, I have to say, Linda, thank you. She just for those of you listening, she said thanks for the Section 119 discount code. Some great things on sale, and just did some holiday shopping. Linda, you're the
Oh my
best.
God, you're on top of it. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
really amazing. And Linda, I'll see you on Sunday in Burlington. What else, Megan? Anything else?
I think that's it. Just everybody needs to listen to Undermine and, rate HF Pod on Apple for us. Give us a good rating if you like us.
That's what we're doing. Thank you guys for listening. And I guess before we wrap up, I'll just say we've been talking every episode about our friends at Fans for Racial Equity. Hold on, there's some children coming in. Fans for Racial Equity are seeking to build an anti-racist live music scene and promote liberation through racial equity in the world at large by activating the collective power of our community. They Hey Franklin. This is Franklin.
Hi, Franklin. Well, I'll keep going. Do you want me to keep going,
Okay, yeah,
RJ?
yeah, please,
Okay,
please.
good. You talk to the twins. So, by facilitating thoughtful engagement around race and its intersection with other issues, Free empowers fans to challenge discrimination and systematic oppression wherever they see it. To get involved in Free's education, outreach, and community partnership programs, sign up to volunteer at fansforracialequity.org or share in the groove at the Free table during a show. They're always set up. They always have awesome people working there. So come by and say hi. They'll be at all the upcoming shows, whenever those may be. So check them out. RJ, you have some co-hosts
Um,
with you now.
sorry, sorry, I interrupted.
That's okay.
This whole thing
You've
is an
got some
interruption.
co-hosts. Hi, friends. Well, thanks everybody, and we really appreciate you hanging out with us. And we'll see you on Monday at 4:30. Thanks, everyone.